I've devoted days of my life to studying this material, I thought I'd throw one more piece out here. This is written, granted I copied and pasted, but written by him himself, right? And a while ago, back before he, whatever he calls it, turned the cheat codes back off, made things harder on himself, gave away pieces of information, and stuck them in other people, except now he won't take, never mind, not even. Just going to read it, okay? Arcane knowledge at last unlocked. Yeah, a bit more to come, collapses tiny bit. There was something hidden, something darker than the so-called devil. And although one of its names is deception itself, it is finally being revealed, and I will be victorious over it. In this video, space all around us got distorted and blurred a split second before a red-rimmed black hole popped open in the sky above. We could see the eyes of the great deities of old duking it out over position, all fighting to possess the place of the great eyes rising. I will log the seconds in the longer version I'm about to unload. I know it's kind of hard to see distortions in space in a freaking cell phone camera, but everything you're seeing, every last seeming glitch in the video, it's a glitch in reality more than the camera messing up. And I don't mean the Matrix as you. I mean that there are more powerful things on this earth than most can imagine, and they can bend space, time, and light. Ever notice how some trains you can't see seem louder than the ones you sit and wait to pass? And the ones you pass that make that noise, well, they're just a little creepy at first, and then you put it out of your mind. Well, this battle you see before you, this is a metaphor for the battle that rages in all our hearts. We want to see God. We want to be with God. But so do they, and they don't like us at all. They must be made to submit by recognition of God's eternal power. Ever seen the blue cloud that looks like an eye with one fin towards the top left? Everyone has seen this cloud, whether you remember it or not. Most people who feel God's love can easily remember it. And if I told you the truth about it, you would never hate a moment in your life so much as that moment of doubt. Look, people, before you call me crazy, take a long, hard look. Play it over and over again. You don't just see black dots pop and the screen distort. You can see the clouds and the air bending. You can see vortices forming right after each pop. These are the weapons of ascended beings who began more powerful than any life form we can conceptualize. If a being like this exists, let's just approach it logically. They would have the power to alter reality, to literally bend it to their wills. Well, if two or more of them were fighting it out, power against power, what better weapon than a distortion of space-time itself? What more appropriate weapon for the devil to try to steal from the Son of Man? In my other videos, keep an eye on the blue energy and the purple energy. The more blue, the more pure the energy. You can see the great eyes and pyramids form in the sky, and their particles break off at great speed and go to battle. More wormholes form, some purple, some bright blue. I know, hell to see in a daytime sky. But there are going to be more videos, and frankly, everything seen by the naked eye is the same as what's on the video. And frankly, I don't think I have the ability to make a camera record my hallucinations. I think it's a bit more logical than something like archangels existing and battling it out. After all, it's written in every fucking culture's history in one form or another. Every fucking one. How dare you doubt what is seen plain as day? You flee what you don't understand, but what you have avoided is the very meaning of life itself. Watch as Satan and its beast battle with Gabriel for the favor of God and the fate of the world. Hold on to that for just a minute. I'm sorry. Sidebar. Battle with Gabriel for the favor of God. Okay. The blue eye opens and closes when the beast ascends through the first black hole. The whole screen blurs when this happens, but you can make it out if you watch the slowed down videos. Then, as the eyes remain shut, the pale reddish yellow eye, the yellow glowing magenta eye, and the pure glowing yellow eye. That's a lot of yellow. No, sorry, another sidebar. All duke it out across the plane of the true God's closed eye. All these things were witnessed by two people who came to know each other only as this was happening. I can go outside and see this energy. It flows from blue, good, to magenta, evil. As the skyscape gets closer to the city of New Orleans. Ask anyone who believes in any type of mysticism that lives in this area. Did you ever think this city was built on something older than they were teaching you in history class in the middle school? And have you ever heard of the Crystal Palace? When they answer yes, and if they have any connection to the mystic culture of this city, they will answer yes. Ask them if they ever felt like it was blue, and if they ever saw the chains of swirling magenta plasma that bound both it and all of the souls lined up at its gates. And something makes you want to fear it, and fear those people. But the first impression doesn't make any sense, because there's a greater evil than deceit, sorcery, or the Satan who is pride in self. There is Ra. If you have a sense of humor, you can call her She-Ra and still be disturbingly precise. And the reason that's so fucking funny? That's exactly the kind of cover this thing is powerful enough to paint for itself. Bear in mind that metaphysical energy comes from metaphysical beings, which we are, and as we pray, we give strength to God's angels. So does the worship of false idols. Ra is an ancient deity, the most powerful and terrifying, and wanted us to believe that it had three gods underneath it. Wait, wanted to be seen as more powerful than a, trinity? Nods. The exact symbol of the Eye of Ra, can you picture it? We all know what it looks like. Should there be several, all glowing the same color, appearing only in one place at a time, at any given time, day or night, in this self-forsaken city? Tell all those who know of the Crystal Palace. Its chains are that of a great succubus who bound it long ago by tricking it into building a trap for itself. In her arrogance, she blamed the fall of man on the mother of man, Eve, a.k.a. Gaia Celeste, Gaia. She had dark greenish-brown skin that shone blue with the light of creation, and she was the first being to sacrifice herself so that humanity could rise and inherit. Not there. She was tempted by Lucifer, the same way Ra had deceived him. Who longed more for the presence of the Lord. He was created for worship itself. She was given light to create herself and all the races of man, human, and every stage and variant thereof. Trust with both. Lucifer, pride of man who was once worship, deceit, the art of war, and Baal Thazarael, sorcery, who was once Baal Shiva, rose to call herself a Zargael. A pretty bold name if you have some basic word deconstruction skills, which apparently I don't, even after 2 fucking years. Sorry. A false name for a false power. Those chains around the Crystal Palace were hers. It was, however, Lucifer who said, "I know you miss him, as I do. She has a plan, though." And he walked away a few steps as he said, "That really should work with your help." And he turned to look with only his right eye, that glowed with the amber of the archangels, and said, "We can all be as the great eyes are." And the glowing subsided, and her friend's face was there for a second to say, "We can all be together, together we'll play with Abba, who is father and mother, forever." It was a time when Eve was sealed off. Her children were an ancient species, and she had no direct descendants who could still create in this world. Generations of grandchildren can you watch grow old before you decide you miss their grandfather too much to bear? Were all of them deceived? The towers were built, the energy was harnessed, and instead of them all, it was only she who ascended to the 13th plane. She, the mother of lust, became, the became Ra, who was the so-called sun god of ancient times, aka the all-seeing eye, the great red orb, aka the angel of death. It is not her who can take those places as long as he who is dwelleth within them. There are three. The angel of death is Father Time. The Father and the Son are one because the Father is the Son of Man. And the Holy Spirit is something greater than the mind can comprehend, let alone something words can ever express. Written of the Lord, whose writings remain complete, has had any right to do so, for he has been gone for a time, and times. No man can define God, even Christ, who is bound by a mortal coil, cannot process that much energy without being fried like a solar meteorite. How blind were you that you thought that energy could come from such a pure blue? What does it mean when an aura has such a swirl? You should smack yourself. I know I wanted to. Those chains are undone. The lie that was told will be put to an end. There is no hell. There is no damnation. And there is most certainly no vengeance in God. There's vengeance in me, but I tried to hold back, just like we all should. Now begins the 1,000 years of light on earth as in heaven. There will be no more head on the fowl. You must all take responsibility for your own actions. If you find the path, no longer can you be led astray. This is the book of life, and you are written in it, the final chapter of humans' mere larval state. Arise, children of the Most High God, who reigned until history was rewritten to hide his presence. The great defiler had thought our scientific advancement would help to make her manifest. All it can do is help us understand God better. There isn't a single particle of energy that the Most High did not set into motion at the beginning. Let's get some shit straight. The incarnation of God you think was crucified wasn't. He was crucified, then stabbed with 1,000 swords in a metaphysically binding pattern, then sealed away for a time, then beheaded with the great axe of chaos, so that when he came back, it would be for the first time actually being born, as all God's children must be born in the flesh by a mother and father. Everything we've been told about Christ is a lie, except for the literal word. Matthew 6, 11, and 23 have always been fine examples of just how fucked up the church has always been by its very existence. Pride of self used to be religion. In a time when the ancient deities allowed civilizations to set against each other for their development. Lucifer was the only head of an army who had a master himself, and he was made to bow down to that master and show how glorious worship could be. And as the Armenian tongue says, along with the law that an original thought creates itself as an entity, Lucifer equals religion. But Lucifer was deceived and made to deny Christ 3 times and set up a church that would defile him, with the promise that a great machine had been set up to bind God and make them free. It was all a final test of our spirits to overcome without any help that we could see. God cannot hate anything which he creates, for God is love, and love is perfection. There are now flaws resulting from love, lust, pride, deceit. They are all servants of Gabriel, the archangel of death. She thought to overcome him and storm the gates of heaven by building a machine that would bind it to her plane of existence. Arcadia, a false plane that was created by God for her to deceive herself within. This is the plane of false magic, of greed, envy, and despair at the fortune of others. Ra had absorbed their powers by making them betray God, just as she had done to the sons of God who dwell on the earth in ancient times, making them powerful demons. A succubus made of crystalline mist that is channeled by her children through purple amethyst. That is why it seems so alluring, powerful, timeless, but is deceptively fragile as far as crystals go. For the art of war is that of Jehovah, and the past 2,000 years have been a trap. Not for the truth, but for her. The greater the strength of the accuser, the greater we have had to become in order to better ourselves. She thought we would worship technology, then the masters of it. She set up as aliens, when visible demons, then false religion, then pride in state, then evolution, then New Age, all failed as false world religions. And while I share the depths of the lies of history, let me tell all women, you have been hated for her sake, not your own. The most deceptive way to bury the truth is surrounding it with lies, and the most potent way to form those lies is by shrouding them in truth. For they are God's unifying theory of everything. History, energy, existence, meaning, none can be understood without the unveiling of these facts. For these planes and of these beings, time, which is death, which is natural, is God's servant. And no combination of lust, pride, and sorcery can be as great. Though it was she who said, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. It wasn't even an original plan. It was her version of a flood. Only she had to find the loopholes that were laid out for her because she is not God. She deceived the earth, who is Christ, and the moon, who is Eve. Man was a crystalline being created from the sea, who came forth and created peoples after him, number 10 and 3. 10 have passed, 3 remain, but only one contains the souls of all the ages that came before it, and it is not human. You are the embodiment of lust success, and lust has nothing to do with sex. See this? Instinct given by man to find love. It is a comparison to the love that others seem to have, but keeps you from finding true love. Lust is that of power, of pride, and of blasphemy. And she sought to gain the power of ultimate blasphemy by consuming those powers. Ultimate blasphemy can be no other thing than using arcane power to defy God's will out of ungratefulness for the gift of his creation. This pestilence shall reign no longer. In the past week, you may have noticed your inner demons growing stronger. What you may also learn to see is that if you put your faith in God, it actually works now with a thought. God has come to earth to bring a renewal of the ancient covenant. I am everywhere, therefore I am with thee. The underestimation of God is the only thing that can cause the absence of his presence. Even those who have the greatest faith in this day have vastly underestimated him, and especially those who thought that they could deceive that which they are made of. Can your finger betray your hand? Can your hand betray your body? The most powerful betrayal that could take place in all possibility. I meant to misspell that. Betrayal, as in, needs to be a... is but the DNA molecule in a single cell of the greatest whale of the oceans. If those oceans were as infinite as the conception of the most powerful man of all time, am I making it clear enough how bad this bitch fucked up? LMAO, I guess. Oh, yeah. Another news flash. God is fucking hilarious. Ever noticed how in Arcadia, a twisted sense of humor equates to power? Jokes become power? It seems silly to accept, but the most powerful ones, there seem to be batch crazy with fucking jokes and riddles coming out their asses. Anyone who knows astral projection and ever encountered other beings knows this. Well, why did God create such a place knowing that this horror Babylon would inhabit it? 'Cause she's a big fucking joke, that's why. Peace. This was written in 2011. I think I got it off of Facebook, to be honest. At one point, I went back and I tried to find everything interesting that was locked in text on Facebook. But, you know, I'm only hardworking and sincere. It's important that I not influence anybody.